Am I the a-hole for not giving a kidney to my father? My 23 female, father is 71 male. He has a chronic kidney disease and needs a kidney transplant to survive. He has 3 older kids, I have siblings, but none of them are compatible. They have the same blood type but haven't tested for compatibility yet. His blood type, coupled with comorbidities, fatty liver from alcohol consumption, make him an unlikely donor recipient in my country. We met this year, but my mom told me he was dead when I was a child because he didn't want to be in my life. She told me the truth when I was 18, and I found out he was still alive, had other kids, and where he lived. After pondering, I decided not to contact him. He always lived in the same city and house growing up, so he knew where to find me and never tried. His name is not on my birth certificate. My mom's brother-in-law has been my dad for everything that counts. A few years ago, I met my father's nephew, his wife's nephew, 28 male, Max. We became friends without knowing about the link and eventually started dating. Been together for 2 years. When we found out about the link, I told him I didn't want my dad knowing about me and he respected my decision. They are fairly close because Max's dad died when he was 18 and my father became his main male role model. I got pretty sick a few months ago and had to be hospitalized for 3 weeks. My father heard that Max's girlfriend, me, was very sick for my half-sister. She used the word dying, so he went to offer support. Figured who I was, he didn't know my name, plus I'm a copy of my mom, and lost it. He insulted me and my boyfriend, called me a gold digger and him an idiot for thinking I got close to him without knowing who he was. Up to this point, I didn't even know they were rich. I knew they were well off, but Max works very hard and never talks about money. We don't live together, and both lived abroad before the pandemic. I recently graduated uni, studied with a full scholarship abroad, worked and saved enough to pay for my master's. Even then, my mom's legacy is substantial, so I'm not worried at all for my future financially. Max eventually forgave him and trusts I am not with him due to money. My father asked for forgiveness, and I told him I was willing to be cordial with him for Max's sake, but that I would never see him as a dad figure and I wanted nothing from him. Today, he talked to Max, said his kidneys were failing and he would be hospitalized until a kidney becomes available. Max has asked me to test for compatibility before making a decision. I told him that it wasn't necessary because I'm not giving away a kidney. He got angry and said that this was a life or death situation and that I could at least think about it. I am extremely distressed that he would even ask that of me and told him to buzz off. I know people can live with 1 kidney, but every surgery comes with risks, and pregnancy does become higher risk. Am I the a-hole for not giving an organ to someone that's contributed nothing but a sperm to my life? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. But if you want to escape the pressure, say you will get tested and tell the doctor that you're being pressured and you don't want to donate. The doctor will then tell them you're not compatible. Oh, really? I didn't know you could do that. Thank you. I don't want to lie to Max, and kind of understand where it's coming from now that I've cooled off. This may be a good option so my half-siblings don't come after me too. Well, it's like that in the US. Tell them you are being pressured, / forced to be here, / give up your kidney and they will say you tested negative for a match. Not stay home. And don't do the test. Nothing good can come of it if you're set on not donating. But, honestly, you and your boyfriend aren't set up for success here. There is so much baggage between you two. To be honest, some therapy would be really recommended, now rather than later. I wanted to break things off when we found out the link, but he seemed serious about being able to separate what my father was for him and what he had with me, and promised never to push me to start a relationship with him. That's why I'm so hurt right now. You're right, therapy might be needed if we want to keep going forward. Not a day home. Max's reaction is a red flag. He is losing a parent figure, so I'm open to forgive his behavior if he's open to hear and understand my point of view. He's been wonderful for 3 years, and we've never had big arguments before this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my husband delusional for demanding I give him 50% profit of my business that he didn't support? My husband, male 35, is a bank clerk, and I, female 29, have a work-from-home job, which I barely bear since I'm an active outdoor person and like doing gardening stuff in particular. I figured, since I have background in gardening, I decided to use our spacious backyard to grow flowers and sell them online after arranging and organizing them into bouquets. When I brought this up with my husband, he said this was the worst idea ever, adding that this would be a major waste of time and money, and suggested I look for a second job. I didn't listen and started my business little by little. In a matter of 18 months, it started bringing decent money and I gained customers. My husband offered to look at how much I was able to make in the past months and was impressed. The other day, he was standing with his drink while I was checking my flowers, and he talked about what a good job I was doing keeping our business flowing. I corrected him about it being our business and reminded him about how little faith he had in my potential to make decent money out of growing and selling cut flowers. He was like, well, I didn't honestly think your little gardening hobby was going to get anywhere, but now that the business is flourishing, I want my fair share of the profit and won't settle for less than 50%. I was puzzled, and I asked why I thought he should get any share of the profit, let alone 50%. His answer was that I was using his soil to grow my flowers on. I said this is our house / our soil, not just his since we're married, and both our names are on the title. He was like, actually, I owned this house long before you came along, so it's technically mine. I replied that he must be aware it'll be split in half in case of separation. He laughed and joked about how silly I was for hinting separation, just because he was asking for something that he so richly deserves, which is 50% of the profit. I said no, and that it was delusional to ask because his soil alone doesn't magically grow my flowers. There's a lot of work to it, from picking, buying seeds, taking time, effort to care for them, collecting, trimming, and selling them while all he does is sit back. I said it didn't matter to him when I started using his soil, so why now? He said it always matters when money's involved. We had an argument about it, and he apologized, but only for approaching the subject rudely but still wants 50%. He's been silent about it since after stating that he already said what he needed to say, and I needed to make the right decision. Am I the a-hole? To clarify, my husband and I both have our own salaries. We contribute equally towards expenses. It's his idea since he had a divorce before. He still has things that he owns alone, which isn't bad since money has never been an issue. It's not like he needs money for an emergency or something. He just wants 50% of profit going forward. Not today, home, and I really hope you're consulting a divorce lawyer. Your husband just showed his true colors, and the picture isn't pretty at all. Leave his sorry butt to rot on his soil, and plant a new garden somewhere else without an entitled burden. Then he has to pay 50% of your overhead. That includes your salary, which you should now include for maintaining the business. Make him pay you to get his half. Not today, home, but you need to visit a lawyer ASAP to get your business registered in just your name and to look into a post-nup. You need to protect yourself here. If you live in a community property state, half the business is his, since she started the business after their marriage. Not today, home. Your husband is. Is he giving you 50% of his wages? This is insane and a huge red flag. I think that idea of separation should be considered seriously. First, protect your business by filing for an LLC if you have it already. Then take the house or the land and make him buy you out. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting to sue my husband's sister for losing my 2K camera at the beach? My 26 female sister-in-law, 20 female, moved in with me and my husband weeks ago because of problems with her boyfriend. She isn't planning on going back till he apologizes, even though she broke his Xbox device in an argument. I'm a blogger. I have a small space in our apartment, sort of like my office but very small, where I work for hours. Sister-in-law always enters the room and takes stuff and not return them, resulting in me replacing them till it got a lock. She was going to the beach with some friends to let off some steam and asked if she could borrow my 2000 video camera to record the trip, but I declined and explained that I was working in the weekend and would need it. I got done with my project and left my camera at the desk, but when I woke up the next day at 9 a.m. and had a shower then breakfast, I entered my office and didn't find my camera. I freaked out, and my husband told me to calm down because his sister took it with her to the beach. He assured me it was in safe hands, but I kept worrying about it and was upset by the fact she took it and he gave her the key. She got back at 7 p.m. and was pissed, talking about getting in a fight with her boyfriend after seeing him with someone at the beach, and it ruined her day. She started crying loudly and cussing him out. I asked for my camera back and she said she didn't have it. She left angry after the encounter and forgot her sunglasses, cream, hat, and my camera at the beach. Her friend Aiden picked some of the stuff and brought it back, but the camera apparently got stolen. I started yelling, calling her irresponsible and reckless, and this was 2K camera she left behind. She started apologizing, then tried to blame it on her now ex-boyfriend for getting her into a fight with the girl he was with. I said I need a camera for my work, and she had to replace it like yesterday. My husband got involved and said it wasn't her fault it got stolen, and suggested I get a cheaper camera from Amazon for now till I can afford to buy a new one. I said, what? Why should I buy a replacement when it was his sister who lost it? She took it without permission and was responsible for whatever happened afterwards. He tried to make excuses for her being an emotional mess, but I said I have no problem suing her. He asked if I was serious, and I said yes because I've worked hard to get this camera, and my work's always been known to be of high quality. So for him to suggest a cheap camera from Amazon was offensive. He said he was just trying to help fix the problem, but I said he was just helping his sister avoid responsibility. Both him and his sister aren't speaking to me anymore so suddenly, claiming they've given me time to calm down, where in fact they're cold-shouldering me, making me feel guilty for saying that. I'm not sure if doing this will be morally the right thing, since she's family as my husband says. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Someone here mentioned a possibility for friend Aiden taking it, which is a possibility. But when I requested to speak to him about what happened, my sister-in-law said I was wrong to hint that he took the camera, even though I just wanted to ask him a few questions. She told me to leave him out of it since she trusts him with her stuff. Not day home. Sue her. File first thing Tuesday morning. If your husband isn't on board, tell him that he and his sister need to go until they're ready to apologize and make things right. If necessary, file a police report since she stole your camera by taking it without permission. She asked if she could borrow the camera and you told her no, and she did it anyway. Your husband enabled this violation of your boundaries by his sister and then tried to invalidate your feelings on it. I think you are well within your rights to demand that she leave immediately and say that she's no longer welcome in your house. It's probably also time to tell your husband that the two of you need counseling, and if he doesn't agree to go, then you should consult a divorce attorney. Unfortunately, I don't know if a court would see it as taking it without permission if her husband had locked the room specifically to allow her to get the camera. Depending on how property is viewed in their jurisdiction, it may be considered equally his. She still has a moral obligation to replace it with one of equivalent quality, a model still available. Do you have household contents insurance that covers loss or accidental damage? Get her to pay the excess, and your husband pay any difference in premiums for the next 5 years. Not stay home. First, you need to file a report with the police. Then inform your sister-in-law and your partner that if they don't apply a small loan and replace your camera and lens, then a lawsuit will be filed in 14 working days. Put the both of them in their place so that they never disrespect your property again. P.S. I would love an update on the final outcome. Thing is, my husband thinks it's always wrong to get the law involved in family matters. I admit that my family are the type to take things to court which may not apply to every family, but I think she should be the one replacing it, not me. Not stay home. But there is a bigger issue here. Much bigger. Your husband does not respect you and is willing to let his sister step all over you and your career. That is wrong. His sister is an adult, but it sounds like she acts like a 12-year-old. Seems like she's not used to being held accountable by anyone. You're not the a-hole for holding her accountable, and you deserve to have that camera replaced free of charge to you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for proposing to girlfriend with a plastic ring as a joke? So, context. I'm 35 male and girlfriend is 30 female. We have been together for 5 years. She has made it known for the past at least 3 years that she wants to get married. I always tell her to wait and see. It'll happen one day. Last night I was out with a few buddies and got a little tipsy. While I was out, we went to arcade machines for fun and I won a stupid plastic ring. In my tipsy state, I was like, aha, you know what would be a great idea? If I pretended to propose to girlfriend with us. Cue buddies laughing and agreeing. I got home after midnight and woke my girlfriend up. Shameful in itself, I know, and told her to get out of bed quick in an urgent tone. She was worried and asking, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I told her to sit on the edge of the bed. I then went down on one knee and presented her with a crappy ring and asked, "Will you marry me?" and then burst out laughing. I didn't quite get the reception I expected. She asked me angrily if I was for real and threw a pillow at me. She went into the bathroom, and when I followed her in, she was crying. I was still tipsy and couldn't stop laughing. Bad, I know. She was crying and saying, "I can't believe you find this funny. You know how much it means to me to get married? You take that special moment away by getting on your knee as a joke." I stupidly asked her how does she know it's a joke. She said, "It better be with that ring." I told her she's right that it's a joke, but she's way over the top right now. I then get into bed and sleep. Today has been her crying off and on about me making a mockery of her and our relationship. I've said I'm sorry until I'm blue in the face. But a big part of me thinks she's also overreacting, and it's childish. The ironic thing is, I do plan to propose to her for real soon. Damn, I feel like this is something she needs to get over. Or am I just an A? You're the a-hole. Really bad move. Messing with her emotions and honestly wasting her time. Although after this long, she's letting her time get wasted. I mean, he's been dangling it over her head for years according to him. When someone you love tells you what you want to hear, you tend to listen. This guy has been telling her that she needs to wait because it will happen someday, and she has believed him. You're the a-hole. For real? You better hope she doesn't leave you before you propose. She's not overreacting. You made a joke out of her feelings. She's probably crying because she knows what she has to do now. I know if I were her, I'd definitely reconsider wanting to marry this person. I didn't even want to get married. I was legit surprised when my husband proposed. And yet, if he had made a joke of it and acted like spending his life with me was a hilarious prank, I'd be out of there the next day. Like, it's one crappy thing to not marry a person to whom you know it is important, assuming you want to commit to them. It is downright abusive to taunt them with it and mock them for believing you would do it. And that's before you woke her up, laughed in her face, and dismissed her feelings about it. You're the a-hole. Are you and your buddies really mid-30s? This seems astonishingly adolescent. Anything that strikes as a great idea while you're drunk probably isn't. Let this be a lesson to you. And he thinks she is the one being childish.
Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend out at 2 a.m. because of a comment he made about my mom? Okay, so this happened 2 nights ago and I still feel like I'm losing my mind a little. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend Caleb, 27 male, for about 8 months. Things have been going well mostly. He's funny, smart, whatever. He just moved in last month, which maybe was too soon in hindsight, but that's not even the point right now. So, my mom, 48 female, has been staying with me for a few days. She was visiting from out of state and her Airbnb canceled last minute, so I told her to just stay with us. She's super chill, like genuinely doesn't get in the way, spends most of the day with her friend group, only comes back late at night and watches Netflix with me for like 30 minutes before going to bed. Anyway, 2 nights ago, we were all just chilling, watching some movie. And at some point, my mom got up and went to bed. No big deal. Then out of nowhere, Caleb turns to me and goes, "Your mom totally wants me." I was like, "Huh?" He laughed and goes, "I mean, did you see the way she looked at me when she came out of the shower earlier? She was wearing an oversized tee and shorts and literally just walked past us to get her phone charger." I was already uncomfortable. I thought maybe he was just being dumb. So I said something like, "That's weird, don't say that." But then he keeps going. He's like, "I swear she was flirting with me at dinner too." And starts imitating her voice like, "Oh, Caleb, you're so funny. You should teach me how to cook sometime." And I just sat there stunned because, first of all, ew. Second of all, my mom was just being nice, like she is to everyone. So I told him flat out that he was being disgusting and disrespectful, and he needed to stop. He said I was overreacting and that it was just a joke, but like, that's not a joke. That's weird as heck. So I said, "You know what? Just get out. Go stay at your brother's or something." He thought I was bluffing, but I stood up and literally started grabbing his stuff and putting it by the door. He finally left, but not before telling me I was acting psycho and had major daddy issues, which came completely out of left field. Since then, he's texted me a few times saying I need to chill and that he was just messing around, and I blew it out of proportion. My best friend says she gets why I was upset, but thinks I shouldn't have kicked him out so late and that I probably embarrassed him. My mom doesn't know anything happened. She was already asleep, and I don't want to tell her because I know she'll feel gross about it. But I don't know. It wasn't just a comment. It was the way he doubled down and made it a whole joke at my mom's expense. I've never seen that side of him, and it gave me the biggest ick I've ever felt in my life. So yeah, am I the a-hole for kicking him out in the middle of the night over a joke? Your mom wants me, is what a high school bully says to your face after stealing your lunch money. This man lives with you, in your home, on your Netflix, and he thinks that was a joke? Not the a-hole. Send him back to his brothers with a receipt. A 27-year-old is still acting like he's a single college frat boy. He's clearly not even uncomfortable with a supposed attention. Insert person here. Wants me is a flex, not an expression of discomfort. At 8 months, he's already showing you this much? What else of his personality is he hiding that he'll bring out once he thinks you're too invested to leave? I agree with the above. Just throw the whole man out. I read your comment and had to scroll back up to check their ages. I thought the guy was like 20 at most, from how stupid that comment was. I'm kind of stunned the guy actually thought that in his head and decided to say it out loud. To his girlfriend, about her mother, wow. But I don't know. It wasn't just the comment. It was the way he doubled down and made it a whole joke at my mom's expense. I've never seen that side of him, and it gave me the biggest ick I've ever felt in my life. You know yourself that this is not acceptable, and he is trying to gaslight you. Unless he's going to take full responsibility and apologies, you know something like this is going to happen again or get even worse. Kicking him out late isn't good, but to be fair, I would worry about him trying to escalate the situation, so I think you did the right thing. As for the embarrassed thing, then yeah, but how you deal with setbacks in life is a major part, and if he kicks his toys out of the pram for this, then I pray for you if you stay with him and you hit a real problem. Next story. Am I the a-hole for deciding to bury my husband with his late wife and young daughter? My husband died very recently after almost 17 years of marriage. He didn't have his wishes written down anywhere, but we had talked about it in passing one time, and he had mentioned wanting to be with his baby girl and his late wife. After he died, that came back to me when I realized he hadn't left any written wishes. My husband's son, 31, wanted him buried with his mother and sister. My daughters, 22 and 24, who my husband took on as his own because their own father is gone and was not a good person, were upset by the idea. They loved my husband. To them, he was their dad. And I know he loved them and thought of them as his own kids too. They wanted a family grave, so there was the potential for us to be with him one day. They struggled with the idea of him going in with the family he lost, but I knew my husband would have wanted it. I knew that was his wish, even if he hadn't stated it in a significant amount of time. So I made the decision to bury him with them. My kids were very upset by this, and my sister is angry. She feels like I took my husband's son's side over my kids. She said it was especially frustrating because we'll never see him again now that my husband is dead. His son was never very happy about mine or my kids' presence in his and his dad's life. I did try, and I love him, but I think I always knew deep down that my husband going first would be the end of any contact between us. That's difficult, but I knew. The problem is, with my kids upset and my sister angry with me, I'm a mess of emotions and undecided on my choice. I'm questioning if I could have handled this better. Am I the a-hole? His burial location was something he and I discussed, and this is what my husband requested. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Honoring his own spoken wish, even if it hurt, was the right thing. It wasn't about choosing sides. It was about love and respect for the life he had before and the peace he wanted in the end. It's beautiful that you loved him enough to do that for him. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'll always love him. He was an amazing man, and I'm glad he said something about it, even if it wasn't a serious talk we had about it. This is a teaching moment for your daughters. Life is hard, and not everything is straightforward. Grief is a hard emotion to grapple with and is very personal. But you cannot worry about what you cannot control. This is one of those things. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's one that everyone on the planet has to grapple with. Also, death plans, just like life plans, will evolve and change over time. Two presumably unmarried adult daughters like the idea of a family burial plot now. If they live to be 80 plus and have children and spouses of their own, which I of course hope for them if that's what they want, they may have a very different idea about their final resting places then. My family owns a burial plot where my uncle was interred in the 1970s. He predeceased his parents and brothers by several decades, and at the time, the family felt some or all of them may one day want to be buried there. 50 years later, they are all gone except my surviving uncle, and none of them were interred there. Some made their wishes very clear and did not request burial there. Others left it up to us surviving heirs, none of whom were alive when our uncle passed. And it honestly didn't even occur to us to inter my dad's cremains with his brother when my uncle mentioned it as a possibility. It was a core relationship for our dad, but for us, we wanted to do things with his cremains that were meaningful for us and our relationship with our dad, which had nothing to do with our uncle. My moral of the story is to always have a written death plan and update it regularly, just like a will. Your heirs don't want to guess and squabble over your wishes. They'd rather know what you wanted. If you want to leave it up to them, say so. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad that Dad started doing our special thing with his stepdaughter? Ever since my brother, 18 male, and I, 16 female, were little, we each had a special thing to do with each parent. My brother and Mom used to go ice skating together, and Mom and I went to baking classes together. Dad and my brother always hike in the same place and go to the same diner afterward, and my thing with Dad was to stargaze together and turn it into a picnic. Those things were always something just for me and my brother and the parent we did them with. It wasn't family time. It was something we saved for doing with each other. I remember when I was 9 and my grandpa offered to take me stargazing because Dad was sick, and my dad got so upset with Grandpa, his dad. He was so jealous. I'd never have said yes anyway, but seeing Dad get jealous made me happy because I realized he treasured it too. I told Grandpa I didn't mind waiting for Dad to feel better. After Mom died, the stuff we did with Dad became more important. I was 10 and my brother was 12. 2 years ago, Dad remarried, and Dad kept our special thing special for a while. But I found out recently that Dad was doing the stargazing with his stepdaughter, 12. He was keeping it from me, and when I found out, I told him I wasn't doing it with him anymore and that he ruined and spoiled our special thing, and I'd go with Grandpa in the future. My dad got jealous about that, and I screamed at him that he already took someone else, so why can't I? I told him I thought he treasured it, but no, that was just me. That he'd never hike the mountain he and my brother go to with anyone else. And he was like, of course not. My dad ended up telling his stepdaughter they couldn't stargaze anymore. She was really upset. My dad's wife was upset too, and they argued, and now she's angry with me because I'm still mad at my dad and haven't given in and agreed that it's our special thing still. As dumb as it is, the fact Dad wouldn't be okay with me doing it with someone else should prove why he spoiled it for me. Especially when he protects his and my brother's things so much. My brother and Dad's wife got into a fight because she was calling me selfish and spoiled and trying to put her daughter's hurt feelings onto me, and my brother defended me. Dad keeps telling me he doesn't want me to see our stargazing as ruined, and he told me he can make it up to me. I told him he can't, and that he knew it was wrong because he lied to me for months, if not more than a year. Right now, I have my dad's wife blaming me and her son, 15. They blame me for their daughter/sister being upset. I told them to blame Dad, but they said she wouldn't be hurt if I had accepted Dad doing it with her too. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but I feel like your dad's wife is, she has to accept that your dad has his own children too, in my opinion. Agreed here. Not the a-hole. This wasn't about being selfish. It was about feeling hurt and betrayed. Your dad knew that tradition meant something to you, which is why he hid it. That says everything. Wanting to keep one special thing just between you and him, especially after your mom passed, is not unreasonable. It's not on you to make everyone else feel better about a decision he made and he kept secret. It's more than that. The wife is obviously who made this happen. She wants a father figure for her daughter and wants to damage OP's relationship with her father so that he'll turn to her daughter. So she convinced him this would be okay, or else threatened him if he didn't do it. Why do I think this? Because the dad can't possibly have so little imagination that he couldn't think of something non-stargazing to do with his stepdaughter. There's literally every other activity in the world to choose from. The fact that it had to be stargazing can't have come from him. Well, isn't this all a bit of a crap show? Just because dad lacked creativity doesn't make you the a-hole. All he had to do was think up some other special thing for him to do with stepdaughter. But yet, OP's father didn't want her grandpa to do the star watching with her, but he can do it with his stepdaughter behind her back. That's the part that drives me craziest, because he's still jealous at the idea of me doing it with grandpa. But he expects me to accept him doing it with his stepdaughter. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not caring that my husband sleeps with other women even though we're married? I, 26 female, have been married to my husband, 38 male, for 4 years. We have 2 young kids together, a 2-year-old son and a 10-month-old daughter. When we got together, he was very upfront with me about the fact that he doesn't believe in strict monogamy. He's always been honest that he sometimes wants to sleep with other women, and I agreed to it under the condition that he'd always be open and respectful about it. No lying, no sneaking around. It's not for everyone, I get that. But for us, it works. I'm not the jealous type, and emotionally, we're very connected. He's a great dad, really involved, and we live comfortably. He owns a few businesses and does very well financially. We live in a nice big house in a gated neighborhood, are able to travel whenever we want, and I've been able to stay home with the kids without worrying about money. The issue started last week when my cousin saw him out at a bar with another woman. She apparently recognized him, took a photo, and sent it to my sister. My sister immediately called me in a panic, saying he's cheating on you. And when I told her that I already knew and that it's not a secret, she completely flipped. She said I was letting myself be disrespected and hurting my kids by staying in a marriage like this. She went off about how I'm setting a horrible example and even said, if you don't tell mom and dad, I will. I tried to explain that it's something we agreed on and that our kids are safe, loved, and have both parents present. But she's acting like I'm being brainwashed or manipulated. I honestly don't see the issue. This is our agreement, and it doesn't affect how we raise our children or how we function as a family. Now I'm stuck with this anxiety about my family finding out and judging me, even though I'm genuinely okay with the arrangement. I feel like they're projecting their values onto my marriage and not even trying to understand that different relationships can work in different ways. Am I the a-hole for not caring that my husband sleeps with other women, even though we're married and have kids? While your marital dynamic may be unusual, it is between you and your husband whether it's okay. Sounds like you were clear with each other at the start. So it's really no one else's business. Also, your family will find out. You know that. You cannot control that. What you can control is whether you tell them or they get the telenovela version from someone like your sister. Not the a-hole. One thing I will say is, please be sure your financial independence is also set up. You speak in terms of being taken care of in your post. If something changes, like he falls in love with someone else and decides to make them his primary partner, are you able to move forward independently? You've chosen an untraditional path, but that doesn't make it the wrong path for you and your family. Own it and be strong. Best of luck to you. Agree on everything here, especially the finance side. Not just in case he falls for another woman, but just life happens. You are a stay-at-home mom and that's your agreement, but you two are partners and your future retirement should be being built up. Sure, he's a lot older and has a lot of assets, so 50-50 of everything may not be something he would agree to, but build toward that. Just make sure you are not financially vulnerable now or when you're 40. I would definitely tell your parents before your sister does. Just you. They're probably going to go through a little shock and adjustment to this revelation. This isn't your relationship, it's mine. He was very upfront, I agreed to it, and I am fine with it. He has rules and he follows them. I feel loved, he's a good husband and a good dad. I would also tell your husband, in case your sister or other family start harassing him. They should direct that to you, but really, since you've already acknowledged it, just keep it to themselves. And to add, OP may not be okay with this in 10 years. We change and grow, but stay communicating and make sure the future is covered. If your husband was going to be out in public with other women in places people who know you could see, you should have expected this conversation at some point.